Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hello, Donna. I'm super excited for you guys to get to know Donna and learn more about her story. As I'm actually really excited to learn more about Donna's story. I haven't really deep dived with her. We've connected and I love her energy. Donna Evans is here with us today to share about the significant time in her life when fear held her back from living her life fully and how that life experience has shaped the leader that she is today. And Donna, I would love for you to share, where are you located?
So I'm near downtown Denver in Colorado.
Awesome. Are you originally from Colorado?
No, I'm originally from Newfoundland, Canada, but I've been in Colorado
Ooh,
for a long time.
okay. Canadian born.
Yes, I
I
know
love it.
travel restrictions have been tough because I haven't been able to go home at all. So,
Do you go back and forth generally?
yeah, well, I go usually once a year at least.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you haven't been able to make it for 2020.
nope.
Not yet. Are you still
What?
holding out hope to make it, or are you like next year?
Well, I think the borders are still pretty closed in a lot of those places. So it's going to be what it's going to be. I think we've said that a lot of times
Right.
during this, right?
Yeah, we can only control what we can control, and that's pretty much ourselves, right?
Right. There, absolutely got that. True.
I love it. Yeah, truth. So Donna, tell us a little bit about your background, from where you were and where you are today. What would you like us to know about you? What's some interesting facts that you would like to share?
Gosh, some interesting facts. Well, my career, I felt really blessed that my career has been a really good one. Right out of college, I worked with a large IT company and rose very quickly because they were growing like crazy, which was a wonderful time to come out of school. I know a lot of the graduates this year are really struggling, or
Yeah.
last. But so they were growing so quickly that a lot of the barriers that you see with being young, and also a woman, I didn't experience at the beginning of my career. And so before when I left, there was a marketing manager, youngest marketing manager in the company, and it was a great opportunity. But I also realized that I was on a treadmill. And so I decided I just wanted to do something else. And my undergrad degree is in education. So I thought, well, I'll go into higher ed. And I was in higher ed for actually about 15 years. And I did strategic planning, OD work, and marketing and business development have always been a part of my career. Um, and then when I was serving in higher ed, I started to serve on a lot of community-based boards. I think I've served on about 35 now. And
That's
it was a wonderful opportunity not only for me to give back, but also for me to just learn the skills of working with groups of people in leadership roles, which have made a huge difference in the trajectory of my career, frankly. I then did a couple of years of economic development work and then was tapped by a recruiter to run the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce, which I did for 9 years. And it was a
wow.
really wonderful experience. It felt like all my pieces and parts of my career came together to really work with women. And having been the only woman in the room enough, it was wonderful to have that as an opportunity.
That
Um,
scout knew what he was looking for and he found it. Direct hit. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was really, really good. And so my background before that, my mother's Canadian. My father was American. They met when he was in the U.S. military, and he was stationed overseas to Saudi Arabia. And we had moved to the U.S. And we came back. He was killed by a drunk driver. So my mom was left with three little kids
Oh,
under the age of 7. Third grade education back in the day. It was really depressed when she was growing up, and all the kids in her family actually after third grade went to work. And so third grade education, had never driven a car in a foreign country with 3 small kids. So I look at my mom and I see a lot of how she dealt with that challenge changed my life significantly in many ways. Number one, I think I especially became an adult much quicker than I probably
right.
would have if that hadn't happened. We all had pretty significant responsibilities because my mom was working more than one job. Um, But then, I was the first person in my family to go to college and graduate. And I just saw I just saw my life bigger, right? And I knew that education was the key. And so it shaped me in many ways. So, when I was running the Colorado Women's Chamber, my mom had a stroke. So, any of you who have ever taken care of an elderly parent or who have really had to step away because something happened in your life, it became pretty clear to me that I could not run a thriving large organization and be a caregiver. And so made the hardest career decision I've ever made. And I decided that I needed to step down from the chamber to take care of my mom. Now I was jumping off a cliff. And so, I was always the one that people came for career advice. And of course I would never tell someone my age to jump off a cliff and not
Yeah.
have any landing, right? But I feel like in many ways that sense of crisis that drew me to a decision I probably never would have, has shaped my life so significantly. And frankly, fear was, once I took about 6 months, I got her settled, sold her house, all the stuff that goes along with caregiving. I started really thinking about what did I want to do next. Now I knew I had to have flexibility just because
Right.
of my role, right? And I knew I was leaving a 6-figure job, and I'm single with a mortgage and kids. So I knew also that I needed to figure out a way to fairly quickly replace my income. And so, I had the choice of going back to work for someone else, which was actually my comfort zone in many ways, because that's what I'd always done in my career. But as I looked at my options and the type of roles that I would have, I just would not have near the flexibility I needed. So I looked fear straight in the face, and I decided that I needed to start my own company. Now, I'm really fortunate in that all of my roles, I built businesses. So
Yeah.
business development has always been a forefront of what I've done. And so I decided that, when I was working with the chamber, we worked with hundreds of business owners and leaders, helping them to grow their businesses and careers. And the hardest working people I've ever met are entrepreneurs. And very, very few of them ever make the kind of money they were hoping for.
Mm.
So I got a heart for helping entrepreneurs to have a lifestyle and actually to have a thriving business that they love, that they're basically doing what they believe they were meant to be doing. That's their gift. And so I decided to start my own company, Phoenix Growth Partners, which I did 4 years ago. And now I've trained over about 120 business owners in helping them to reach 6 figures. It's been a wonderful opportunity just to see how people, especially women's lives change when they have something that people clamor to receive, right? So they have this sense of
Yeah.
purpose. And also, it's really interesting when they start to make real money. I remember one client was saying that one of the big things was the respect that her husband had for her, that she was able to pull this off, right? And to build something thriving that she loved. And so that sense of enhanced self-esteem and what they could then do financially for their families, that's what gets me up in the morning, for sure. But we,
Yeah.
we all have this comfort zone, right? And the comfort
Yeah.
zone basically is built with all of our past.
Mm-hmm.
And but anytime you want something more than what you have ever gotten before, you have to do something that you've never done before, right? And I heard
Yep.
this saying was the difference between the highest earners in the world and the medium and lower ones is because the ones that are the highest earners are willing to do the hard things, which means stepping outside their comfort zone and being stretched, and every time they meet a goal, finding a new one that gives them energy and makes them want to, continue doing the work that they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's so true because we have to keep taking steps in order to have momentum anyways, because if we're not taking any action and moving forward, then there will be no momentum and we can't build a thriving business without momentum.
Right. Right. It's very much like priming a pump, right?
Yep.
prime, and that's, there are 4 phases of business. Startup is the first one. And by far, startup is the hardest phase of business to move from because you're priming the pump, right?
Yep.
And many times business owners don't realize that that kind of energy and dedication and actually stepping into things that are hard for them that's not forever. It's just for a short period of time until we can get you out of that phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when you have money coming in and you know that people want your offering and your product, then it becomes easier. And so, my goal really is to get people out of startup as quickly as possible, because after that, they start to really enjoy their business for sure.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I was writing a note to just to be able to say, like, what I just took from that is really like getting dedicated to the process that must like happen right now in order to start up, right? Like for the people that are at startup right now or have an idea to get started, right? Like getting dedicated to the process so that it's not something you're going to have to just get comfortable with for long term. We're talking about the fact that we have to get in motion and know that like the startup phase, you're not going to stay there. So get excited about like going through the process and dedicated to it. Does that sound like the right takeaway to take from what you just said?
It absolutely is. And what I
Okay.
say to my business owners is, if every morning you get up and you say, what are the top 3 things today that I could actively do to move my business forward? And it's not about you doing back end stuff like your website or social media. It's actually, how do you engage and build relationship, especially in startup? How do you build relationship in such a way that people only want to do business with you?
Mm-hmm.
That you know what your offering is, how it changes people's lives, and you connect with people in such a way that they want more of you, right? And then after that, you can look at other strategies, but actively doing, the most important things you can do first thing every day changes everything. It just changes everything, right?
And it also gives you like when you're saying start out that way, right? Start your day that way. And I think that that's a really great point to make, is like start out with the things that move the needle for you, because it's a positive reinforcement to keep moving forward and to know like the smaller incremental things, those actually are the big things. A lot of the times we're letting our minds control the fact that we're like, I can do that tomorrow. That's the easy stuff. When in reality, that's more of like the tough stuff that people avoid, is like the building rapport, the building the relationship, to know like attracting people is super important in startup, to be authentic to what you're building and have that momentum to be able to start building on that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think so. What I see a lot of times is that a business owner will have a list of 10 things they write down that need to get done. Now, only 3 of them are strategic, meaning they're actually active client attraction. But they will do all 9 of them before they get or 8 of them, until they get to the ones they really don't want to do, and then it's the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
And they wonder why they're not growing. And it's because
Yep.
they would just start with the hard things first, whatever's hard for them. And usually it is, if you're in startup, it's, you just need to get out there.
Right. You
And
need to be seen and you need to be heard. And those are the things that people are avoiding, is like getting on video or getting on podcasts and sharing their stories and their realities and their experiences, which literally that's what I always talk about, is you need to be seen and you need to be heard. And and I do it too. Like half the time, that's the last thing on my list. And I'm like, dang, it's getting so late. Maybe I shouldn't go live. Does it really matter now? And it does. We need to do them first. So I love that you're making sure that that is a point made, that do them first. Do the things that you will try to put at the bottom of the list. Those are the most important pieces generally that we try to stay under the radar with.
oh, absolutely. And so you kind of brought up something. So, on one side, what I do with my clients is I really help them with hard skills. How do you build a thriving, growing business, right? And most people who start a business, they spend a lot of time and energy on their offering. what it is that they are going to, the gift that they're bringing to their potential clients. Very few, if any of them, ever learn how to grow a thriving business. And they're two completely different things, right? And so why a lot of business owners fail in startup is they just don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they should be doing. There's a lot of people talking about what they should be doing, not knowing what phase of business they're in. And it's not that their tactic is wrong, but the timing of their tactic is wrong, right? So those hard skills, right? But then you've got this mindset piece, which is what you just said, as you were, as you process through your mind what it is that how you see yourself, how you see your business, helps you then to get up and do the hard things. So we also work on, what are the limiting beliefs that keeps you from being a 6 or 7 figure business owner? And your results will be a direct reflection of your beliefs. So if you're not getting the results you're hoping for, the odds are really high. There's something limiting you in your mind that's keeping you from doing the actions that you need to do in order to actually realize that success. So in many ways, our mind sabotages our success because we see ourselves not necessarily as a successful business owner or a 6 or 7 figure earner. And it's amazing. It's very much like having, your thermostat in your house. And we set it at 70 degrees and it starts to get a little hot. And so what happens to the thermostat? It kicks in and it drives you back to 70 degrees. So if you have an image of yourself, your worth, your ability that is different than what your goal is, not unlike the thermostat, your comfort zone or your belief system will pull you back into who it sees itself as, which is not the successful person that you're hoping for. It's fascinating, the research around this, and it works every time. If you can get a handle on what do you believe about yourself and create the image of what you want it to be so fully in your subconscious mind, you consciously then are led to do the actions that will give you the picture.
I love it. I love it. I've heard that about the thermostat. And I remember the training that I heard that on actually talked about how to be a thermometer instead of a thermostat, because the thermostat is set and the thermometer, I think I said that backwards.
No, the thermostat you set and it pulls you back into.
Yep, and the temperature is gauged for you, like you've already set it.
It's autopilot.
Yes.
Right? It's habits.
Yes.
Yeah, and habits are not our friends a lot of times.
Right, because they tend to be negative ones.
Well, yeah, and our belief system comes to us usually before we're about 18. And so now you look at yourself as an adult with all of your life experiences under you. If you haven't changed your belief system to catch up to who you are today, then, all those past thoughts and beliefs will pull you back to a place where you just really can't see the kind of results that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I mean, I could talk about business all day. Like that's instantly where my brain always goes, is like business. So I love this conversation. I would love to dive in a little bit about your story, and like let's go there. Let's unpack a little bit about your life experiences, because obviously we know that you are successful at building businesses and helping support people in building these 6-figure, 7-figure businesses. So like, let's figure out how you got there. Let's talk a little bit about that. And so what comes to mind when we talk about fear and a significant time that, it held you back from living your life fully? Where do you go for that?
So, when I look at my life and I, look back to my experiences as a child, one thing that I had was I had a mother that didn't give up, right? Against all odds, she saw these 3 kids and she knew she had to figure it out. And so what I'll say is that I saw her face some pretty dramatic fear. And I saw her get up and get up and get up and work extremely hard to ensure that we were okay, right? And that instilled in me persistence. And I think, they always talk about nature or nurture. I feel like I got in the right line when they were handing out resiliency,
Yeah,
because
that's the word that came to my mind too.
I am resilient, and I'm thankful that was modeled for me. Now it's interesting, there are other family, siblings that actually didn't get it. And
Hmm.
so I do think that we have a bend towards something, but what I learned really early on, and I think it was my first year of college, that it doesn't matter what knocks you down. The only thing that matters is how you get up, because we're all going to figure out a way to get up, but we might get up bitter, we might get up defeated or as a victim, or we can get up and say, wow, that was hard, I came out the other side of it, and the next time I see something that's hard, I know I'm going to be able to come out the other side of it, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
consistently being able to look at, ultimately, where do you want to be? Not looking at your circumstances, not looking at where you are now, but where do you want to be? And then coming to a place of commitment, which is not, decisions are interesting. You can make a decision, but if you're not committed to it, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
a commitment is when each time, let's say you're trying to lose 10 pounds, right? And so a decision is, I want to lose 10 pounds. A commitment is when you go to your best friend's house and she made your favorite dessert, that you decide in that moment that your commitment wins over changing your mind. And it's all those tiny things in our lives that actually create our lives. And when
Yep.
you think of it that way, because what we'll do is you'll say, well, she made my favorite dessert. That would be really bad if I didn't take it. Or, maybe tomorrow I won't eat sugar. But then, why do we do the things we don't want to do? Get the results we don't want, but we do it anyway. And I think a lot of that is being able to step back, do a 30,000-foot look at your life and say, what will serve me? Right? And I think that every time any of us feel a sense of anxiety or fear, it's because it's an opportunity for growth. And we
Yeah.
can choose at that moment, and usually we don't emotionally or maybe even mentally feel like we have the energy. But in that moment, if we can have a moment of decision that is, fear is not going to own me on this, that I am going to push through it. And the nice thing about every single time you push through a fear, the next time it gets easier.
Yeah.
So it's like utilizing a muscle, right? It's
Yeah.
training your mind like you train your body. And that to me is one of the big things that helps you to get through fear, because we all have it.
Yep.
The difference,
Every day.
yep, the difference between people who are successful and not are the people who push through it and do it even though it is scary, right?
Yep. Hashtag do it scared. Because and I love that you mentioned it's like a muscle, because that has been, since I've been very into personal development and personal growth. Actually, my business partner Susie, she had always from the get-go talked about confidence. Building your confidence is a muscle. We aren't born with it. We constantly are working on it. I can have confidence. That was the one thing that my family and friends always said I had. I'm confident. And how do I get that? I was like, I don't know. I don't get it. I could easily lose my confidence. Something can happen that I could lose my confidence. But then we have to continue to work the muscle and build the things around us that support a positive mindset around being confident and stepping back into it. So I love that you're talking about it in the frame of a muscle and how that pulls through, because it's very true. People are just think that like you got it and you don't, but it's true. It's a skill set. We need to build on it.
And so how do you get confidence? Because I'll begin working with a business owner and they'll say, I just don't have any confidence. And so what I'll say to you, again, we'll go back to our comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be confident until you're competent, right? So you see something that you've never done before, but you want that something that's on the other side of that. And so in order for you to get it, you've got to learn how to do something hard, whether it's networking, whether it's learning a new skill, whatever it is. But once you start practicing it like a muscle, practice, practice, pretty soon you become competent at what you are offering or what you're doing. Then you become confident, not before. So you have to push through those steps of not knowing and do the work before you become competent, and confidence is the reward.
Yeah, I love that because I mean it's true. We have to do it. It's all a process, people. It's all a process. It's not one or the other. It's all the things and being able to like move through it. And no, I love that. That's so true. So with your story too, Donna, like where were you mentally in the fear spaces? Like where do you feel like you are mentally in your story, right? As we're talking about fear. Um and talk a little bit about more about relationships. Like we know you got great things from your mom and some people didn't. Like how did your personal relationships work around that?
So, I'd like to talk a little bit around that with COVID.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, first quarter for many, many business owners and for myself was extremely successful. And I think everybody looked at 2020 as the year, and then the world ended or stopped, right? And people became so fearful. They paralyzed themselves in many ways. And I think it was because they lost belief. They went from believing that people needed their offering or service, and then to a point where they completely stopped. And it wasn't until they dug deep and realized that they still had something people needed were they able to overcome the terror, right? And I think about, in my life, the moments when there has just been extreme fear. And, I've had many of them. I mean, I'll remember my first real big one was I went to Seattle for college, which was really the first time I'd been away from my family, right? And I had this sense of complete unknown. And there was some excitement there, but there was a lot of fear, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that there would be fear until I did it. Um, and so then, you look at, well, how do you overcome that? Well, you have to find ways you can comfort yourself, And so one of the things during all of this, the shutdown, is, I've been saying to my clients, what are the things that light you up? There are many things that people couldn't do anymore. So we had to look deep into more basic things, right? What are things that fill your cup? Because if your cup is full and you come to a place of extreme fear, you have like the wherewithal within you to handle it. But if you have run yourself down and you haven't taken care of yourself and given yourself away to everyone else, and something scary happens to you, you don't have the energy or
Right.
spirit within you to be able to navigate it. So I think it's a combination of things, but self-care is critical. And one of the things that um, you know after my mom had a stroke, I really my I looked at my life in a completely different way. And I think because my dad died when I was so little, it was just my mom. And those people who've ever lost a parent, you come to this place of looking at your life and saying, what is my legacy? What do
Yeah.
I leave here? And I think you come to a place where you realize, maybe for the first time for me, that, hey, this is a short period of time we have here, and nothing is guaranteed. And so I think that helped me to start looking at moments of life as opposed to life. So,
Yeah.
you know, when I light a candle every morning, this is the first day of the rest of your life. I'm letting go of anything that didn't serve me yesterday. I'm taking the things I learned, and today I'm better than I was yesterday. And so coming up with me, for me, it's coming up with habits or routines to center myself, to be prepared for whatever the day is going to give me. And I write affirmation cards that I read every morning. And it's not unlike, when you think about our physical body, we are what we eat, we are what we breathe, we are how we move, we are all of those things. Well, our mind is exactly the same.
Right.
Why wouldn't we want to have a fit mind
Mm-hmm.
as much as we want to have a fit body? And so it's worth the time it takes for you to really determine what is it that's going to help me to do my best work today. How can I create an environment around myself so I can show up as my best?
Yes. Oh, I love all that. I love it. So I'm gonna just to like say my quick takeaways were, finding what brings you guys comfort, right? Like that's a huge thing. If you're still like, I don't know, like go search for that. Like find what fills your cup, find what brings you joy. For me, I love to dance. Like I love just dancing. Like I'm someone that can go dance and not care if I look silly and like not be a professional dancer or good at dancing. I just kind of let it go and dance and move around. Me and my kids have dance parties often in our kitchen.
Good.
And COVID be damned, you can't take away a dance party in my kitchen, right?
I love that.
So finding something that you that is comforting. I think that was a big thing that I took away from that. And being able to kind of wipe the slate clean from the day before. I actually have tattooed on the top of one of my feet is the quote, um, learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. So
Perfect.
I definitely looked through the lens of just really wanting to take what I learned from the day before and be in the moment today, and know that this is what we have right now. So
Right.
make the
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. There's an exercise that I do with folks that I've done for myself that was the first time I did it pretty life altering.
Yeah.
And that is, if you were to write, let's say you were going to write a play
Okay.
and you are the lead actor. Now you get to determine what you want for your character. What would your character be like? So my character would be happy, fulfilled, healthy, joyous, doing things that I love. So I write down all of what that would be, and then I live that. So Van Gogh
Mm.
did something really interesting when someone asked him, "How do you paint such amazing paintings?" And he said, "I paint them in my mind first, and then I just put them on paper."
Yeah, it's like your roadmap. You've literally just wrote the story. So why not take what that is, what you want, and actually start making moves and showing up as that, for that, being that, and just living that. I love it. That's great. I'm going to take that as advice, guys. Go write that out. And I've definitely thought about that. I've daydreamed about it, but like pen to paper is powerful. So write it down and do write your play. cast
Right.
cast your lead.
Yeah. And I think the thing that happens with a lot of people, and especially women, is that we are an extra in our own movies,
Right.
that we make everybody else in our lives the star. What a loss
Mm-hmm.
that we did not see ourselves as the star. Because when you think about it, if you allow everyone else to be the stars in your movie, you're not giving them what you could be giving them,
Yep.
because you're not who you really could be yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at ways that you've been the extra as opposed to the star in your own movie.
I love that. I love that. That's definitely something that yeah. Being able to, oh, so that was what I was going to say is another saying that my success strategist has is when you shrink back, your world will go without.
Yeah, that's
So,
so
so
good.
stop letting yourself hide, right? Like the point is show up for your world because we need you.
Right.
People need to know, your struggles and your successes, your life experiences, and what you're learning along your journey. That's why this video podcast exists. I want to help people be heard and know that all of the things that you're doing, they matter. There's purpose behind them, and living out that purpose it's our duty, it's our right, it's our we need to do that because people are going without the knowledge that we have from our experiences, and that is sad. That's a loss.
It is. It is a loss, and what a tragedy, right?
Tragedy, yeah, that's a powerful word to put a point on it and make it very true. So thinking about like the play part, like the question that I want to like round us out with is, I'm very like visionary, would love to think about the future so that I know where I'm going. So I love asking the question like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? So putting it through the light of like your play, and you're the star of, like, where is your play in 5 years from now?
So, it's an interesting question because the answer changes sometimes, right? Actually, it changes quite a bit. As we grow, our answer changes because it grows with us, right? And so for me, I love to travel. And, there have been a lot of really great things that have come from COVID. And I don't want to take away from the things that have been a challenge, or the things where there's been so much loss and disappointment. But in
Mhm.
every crisis, there's opportunity. Um, and so, my business is completely virtual now. And so I've always loved to travel. So I see myself actually being in different places throughout the world as I continue to do my work. And to me, it's a wonderful way to stretch in multiple ways at the same time, learning new cultures and languages, and connecting, and at the same time serving people. That's where I see myself. And it's pretty exciting, actually. And actually, once you build that dream or that movie, whatever you want to call it, um, and you get up in the morning and you don't feel like doing something, all you have to do is look at your dream and go, yeah, worth it.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. I'm that's amazing. And the things that you mentioned, I just thought about this too. Like the those are our values, right? Like that's actually what your values are. So the goals shift and change of what we're doing. The values, they stay put. They're who we are.
Hmm.
So the fact of the things that you just said, I guarantee you've already been doing them. It's not like that won't change. Those are your values. So it's really just stepping into it, amplifying them more, and using what you're doing now to keep moving forward for that 5 years and still having the same values. It's the goals that change, but the values, they're still there.
Right. Absolutely. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So, where is the best place for the viewers to come connect with you, Donna? Because this was fabulous. So, you guys make sure that you go connect with Donna about all of the amazing business tips and advice that she gave about really just moving through life and coping and experiencing things and being really intentional around all of it. So, Donna, I would love for you to share, where is the best place to connect with you?
Okay, so my company name is Phoenix Growth Partners, but I changed the spelling a little bit. So it's Phenix Growth Partners. And the reason for that is when you think of really the original Greek of phoenix, a phoenix is a bird that comes out of the ashes. So a lot of times I work with business owners, they're coming out of the ashes, they've been laid off, or they've been working a mind numbing job, or
Mm,
they haven't been appreciated before and they decided they need to run their own, something happened. And
yeah.
usually they're coming out of the ashes to rise. So that's why my company's name, Phoenix Growth Partners. But so you can reach out to me at Donna at phoenixgrowthpartners.com. Or if you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, I've got this great quiz I just put together to help you to see where you are with your business and your mindset toward whatever growth it is that you're hoping for. And the quiz is called ReadySetGrowQuiz.com.
Awesome. I'll make sure that we get that put in the comments so you guys can just easily get right to it. I'm going to definitely go take action on that. So uh,
Amazing.
with that, I totally believe you. And with that, like, I want to just say, like, any part of what Donna has shared or my insights or anything that has inspired you, do us a favor and take an action in this. Don't just consume what we've shared, what you've heard. Take an action, make some movement, and don't waste the energy and the inspiration that has been brought to you today, right? Like, I want to encourage you to take an action. So go take this quiz, click below, click the link, and check out the quiz and connect with Donna. So Donna, thank you so much for coming on to the series, sharing your nuggets, sharing your knowledge and experience with us. You're fabulous, and I totally appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much. And the little bit I've gotten to know you, you are a gift. And I love that you're getting your gift out into the world in such a big way because we all need it. So thank you very much for the work that you do as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I believe you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Everyone that's watching, remember to love yourself and live fearlessly. Make it a great day, everyone.